Hey guys! Hello book lovers! Hey girly pops, reader pops. Welcome back to what I read in April. You know why I think we all like these videos so much, or at least why I like them, is because it's so reminiscent of monthly favorites from beauty gurus when it was just like sit down videos. I love them so much. But anyways, let's go through the books that I read in April. I read a variety of things and it was an interesting month. Still good, but interesting for sure. The first one I'm actually excited to talk about because I don't remember where I found the recommendation for this. I feel like I was just on Goodreads. No, was I watching a YouTube video? I can't remember, but I remember someone holding it up and I thought it was a really pretty cover. And it's a rom-com about love told by love. So love is the narrator, kind of like how death is a narrator in The Book Thief, I think. So I thought that was really interesting. It's called The Romantics and I had just never heard anything about it. It's by Leah Conan. So I thought I'd just give it a read and it was actually really cool, but I think the only thing is because it was told by love, you don't really get to be in the people's head, and I love being in people's head when I read books, so maybe third person point of view is not my favorite thing, but I still really liked this and I liked how different it was. It was a good change of pace from the other books that I've read, but there were some really cute lines from Love's perspective. This is about a high school and senior named Gale, and he is trying to fall in love. He's like a hopeless romantic and he just goes through a bunch of turmoil when it comes to love. So yeah, it wasn't a super fast read for me and I would say it's probably like a 3 stars, but if you like the idea of this, then I would give it a read because it was a good book. I'm just not like obsessed with it, reading it a million miles per hour. Next is a book that everyone says like, oh, I never read fantasy, but this book, if you don't read fantasy, you should read this book. It's so good because it's still got romance in it. And that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Now listen, I feel like with a lot of series, you have to push past just the first book to really fall in love with it, because that's what happened for me with The Cruel Prince. And so I really get bothered when people just read the first book and then write off the whole series. So I don't want to do that. Basically, it's like this magical circus game, but there's real life death consequences, possibly. It gets confusing. Like you don't know what's real and what's fake. And there's a romance subplot. And at first, I really liked it. I really loved how magical everything felt. I loved the descriptions because I'm not really a description heavy person. I don't like when they have that in books, but this one I really felt like I was getting encapsulated into the world and it was so cool. And then towards the end I was like, what is going on? I don't really like any of the plot twists that are happening. So I gave this 3 stars, but here's the thing. I bought the whole series and Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is like a spin-off from the series. I don't even know what it is, but it's like part of the series too. So I have 4 books in this series because they were on sale and I only gave the first book 3 stars and I'm not excited about it. So please in the comments tell me if that was your experience too with the first book and if I should push on, because when I told people I was gonna be reading this, people were so excited and I really don't want to let anyone down or look past a great series just because of the first book, you know? So yeah, let me know. I'm glad I read it, but I got 3 more books on the bookshelf that are in this world that I'm not that interested in. So please motivate me in the comments. Okay, next, this is unexpected of me, but I read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. You guys have probably seen this. This is like the book of all books, so popular. And I picked it up because I was in the airport and this is the only thing that looked good to me. It's actually considered historical fiction, which if you know me, I've always said like I do not like historical fiction at all, but they're making a movie out of it. So I was like, soon to be a major motion picture. Wait, what did I say? Soon to be a major motion picture, super popular book. I'm in the airport. I don't have a book for the plane. Might as well just get this. So funny story. This book is so slow. For like the first, let me look. I wrote how slow it was. 100 or 200 pages, let me see. I have a Notion page with like how many books I've read this year and then I'm starting to track. Slow for the first 150 pages, then pretty good. Okay, so honestly, if it was not for this plane ride, I don't think I would have gotten through this book because of how slow it is the first 150 pages. But I got on the plane, started reading this book, got really bored after 20 pages and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just buy Wi-Fi. That is how bored I was. But I actually couldn't buy Wi-Fi because they didn't have it on this flight. So the only thing I could do was read this book. And I'm glad I pushed through because I read something that's super popular and now I know what it's about. But basically it is about this girl who lives in the marsh and she's kind of isolated from society because she had to start raising herself from a very early age. It's very sad and you should look up the trigger warnings for some of the topics that take place in this. But then someone in the town is found dead and they suspect Kaya Clark, which is the Marsh girl. But the investigation into the murder really doesn't happen until like the last 100 pages. So it is just super slow for the first 150, describing what it was like for her as a child to be abandoned. But I really liked the ending and I thought it got really intriguing once they were actually in the courtroom. I could not stop reading when they got to the courtroom. I loved reading that part. And then I did look up the whole thing with Delia Owens, the author, being involved in some sort of murder case in South Africa. I don't know about any of that. Okay, I read some articles and it's still just kind of like, is this book her admitting something? Okay, I'm not saying anything. It's all speculation, but that is a very interesting thing if you have not read about that. So I gave this book 3.5 stars, maybe 4 stars, and I'm excited to watch the movie because I don't know how they're gonna make content out of how slow the first 150 pages was, but it was rewarding to get through that and now finally know why this book is so popular. Okay, next, my favorite book that I read this month was 99 Days by Katie Cotugno, and this is so interesting because I basically went to the bookstore, did not look up anything, just picked up books that I thought had pretty covers, read the back, sounded interesting, took it home with me, read the book, and then rated it myself. And it wasn't until quite a while after that I was like, oh, I should read the other reviews on Goodreads. So after finishing this book, I gave it 4 stars. And then I went onto Goodreads, and majority of the reviews that I was reading were 2 stars. And I think I know why. I'm sorry, Moose, come here. I scared him with the noise of the book. Okay. Good boy. I'm sorry for scaring you. So cute. Okay, anyways, I think I know why people gave this book 2 stars, because all of the people in this book are very flawed. Like if you're talking about morally gray, these people aren't even gray. You've got one Summer, 2 brothers, an impossible choice. So you've got the cheating trope in here. You've got her deciding between 2 brothers, which is like always kind of weird in books. But something that I love about books is really being able to be in the head of the person who you're reading about. And this is also so weird, but I always remember from reading Twilight as a kid, I loved being in Bella's head and like her, I just remember she always took showers. She always was just resetting or being in her bedroom. Something about that I really like. I don't know, it's kind of like watching a vlog where they do nothing all day, but it's really comforting for some reason. Like in this book, she always has her morning routine and she goes on a run, and you just get to see everything that she's thinking about and how rejected she feels in this town for this thing that she did, but also 2 people are involved in cheating and this other guy was not getting any of the blame, and you just see kind of all the messed up decisions that they make. But it's fiction for a reason. Like I would never approve of anyone in my real life doing this, but it's fiction, and I loved the summery scenery and just like experiencing the thoughts of somebody else. So for that reason, I really enjoyed the book, and it was 4 stars for me. Although I think the like choosing between brothers thing is very strange, and the whole cheating trope is never something that I'm like, you go guys, that's awesome. But like I said, I loved the writing, the scenery, and just the dialogue, everything like that. So 4 stars, but if you go on Goodreads, a lot of people hate this book for some reason. Okay, next, it was such a weird reading month too, because I didn't go into it with any recommendations or anything that I was like, ooh, I'm so excited to read this. Whereas I feel like all of BookTube and all of Book Talk collectively decides to read specific books, which is so fun. It's kind of like we're all in this big book club, but I just didn't read any of those books. Like a lot that I saw going around were Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlog, or this one, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, a lot of those books I didn't read, so I was just finishing books and then being like, okay, I have no idea what's coming next. I picked up Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett because I really liked Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett, and this one is basically these kids who end up going camping, and then the love interest and the girl get stuck in the forest alone, and I DNF'd this after like 300 pages. I spent 300 pages reading this, so I'm gonna count this as I read this book, but I did DNF it, meaning I did not finish it, and I don't recommend it at all, which is why I DNF'd it at 300 pages. Yeah, this one just really disappointed me, and I don't recommend you spend your money or your time reading that. I'm sorry. Okay, and lastly, I read It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne, which I was so excited about because it reminds me of, the titles are so similar, better than the movies, which is like my favorite romance book ever. This one is really cute. I remember reading it and realizing that it was British kind of far into it, and I was like, oh, these characters are very British. This girl who is in high school and is an actress gets a job at this movie theater, and this guy is already working at the movie theater, and he likes to make films, zombie films specifically, and so they spark up a friendship, and she's an actress, he's making a movie, you see where that goes, but she's also dealing with a really crazy divorce, and I feel like if you experienced divorce in high school, that was a kind of a really cool subplot to follow and relate to, and just give her more depth as a character other than like she just exists to have romance with this other person. So I kind of like when books have that real life drama other than them just falling in love. And I am very happy about the ending of this book. I was really nervous because she could have made a different decision and that would have ruined the book for me, but she ended the book exactly how I wanted her to. And I also really like how self-aware this book is, because the girl in this book, Audrey, in her high school class, she's writing a paper about why she thinks that romance films are actually damaging to relationships. And so at the beginning of each chapter, you kind of see an excerpt of why she thinks they're damaging to relationships. And whenever we were getting to the 3rd act drama, she was also talking about how stupid 3rd act dramas are in romance films. So it was very self-aware, and that's something I always appreciate in books as well. So I did only give this 3 stars, but I really enjoyed reading it, and I liked the the scenery. I liked the romance okay. I didn't necessarily, I think what I didn't like is the guy love interest in this book. He's known as this player, and like I just didn't find that swoon worthy really. Just like sometimes you like the guy love interest in books more than others, and for this one I wasn't a ginormous fan of him. But it was 3 stars. It was a fun young adult romance. So that was my reading month. So now maybe you understand a little bit more about why I said it was weird, because I read 3 books in a row that were kind of out of my comfort zone. Well, actually I didn't think Caraval would be out of my comfort zone at all, but if I had to recommend you any book to read that I really liked, it would be 99 Days. I found that very fun, and if you want more summery spring vibes for a book, I would pick that one up. I think I'm gonna make a book recommendations video soon just to talk about books that I really like that I don't get to talk about all the time. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. I will see you on my main channel for the In My 20s series if you're not following along with that, or on Instagram or TikTok or somewhere else on the internet. Bye!